So you created an amazing piece of art and now you want to apply it to your skin. But the problem is that you don't know how to do it. If this introduction sounds familiar, that's because I've already made a video explaining how to apply a ready image onto a model in Blender. However, due to popular demand, I'm creating a remake of the video with a newer version of Blender and will share with you extra tips, clarify some things from the old video and talk about common issues that can happen. The painting that I'll be using for demonstration is this one. What? This piece of art is not good enough for you? Does it have to be the Mona Lisa? My drawing capabilities are shit, but yet I'm still proud of this one. Anyway, if your artistic standards are higher than mine, that's okay, because for our purpose, this image will do. As we did in the old video, I'll be using an external tool through Blender to apply the image. So let's open Blender. My current Blender version is 4.3.2, because as of the taping of this video, that was the newest version. Let's start by setting the external tool in Blender. For that, we go to Edit, Preferences, and choose File Paths. Under Applications, you'll find a field called Image Editor, where you can set the exe file of your external tool. In my case, the tool is GIMP, which is already set properly, so for me, I can close the dialog. Now I'll import the gun model. For this demonstration, I'll be using the XM1014. So I'll go to File, Import, and choose Wavefront. Go to the folder of the model and choose your gun. Now we're ready to start. Most of our work will be in the Texture Paint tab, so let's go there. In the Paint tab, we're greeted with this ugly pink model, and that's because we're missing an image to draw on. So let's start by creating a new image by clicking on the texture slots area at the top and clicking on the plus sign. We'll be applying our painting to be the colors of the skin, so I'll choose base color. You can name the image to something else if you want, but you don't have to. I'll set the resolution to 4096 and change the color to be transparent and hit the add button. The model will disappear, and that's because we're in the solid mode. Change the view to material preview mode and we'll get our model back. Now we need to set up a few things in order to get the best results. And we'll start with the fall off section, and specifically the normal fall off checkbox. The angle value of this field specifies the angle of faces at which the brush strokes start fading. So the larger this value is, the more faces pointing away from the view will be covered. And if we disable the checkbox, the maximum value will be given. Therefore, I'll disable it so that my image will wrap around the curved areas. Now let's check the options section and start with the bleed field. When we apply an image, or if we just draw in the regular way, the bleed field decides how many pixels will be painted outside the affected area. This comes handy when you want to ensure that all the UV parts get fully covered, and therefore this value extends the painting outside the borders of the UV parts per the specified value of the bleed. I usually set this value to 1. Next, let's take a look at the occlude and backface culling checkboxes. When the occlude checkbox is enabled, that means the brush will only affect the faces directly under the brush. That means the faces at the other side of the model will not be painted on. As for the backface culling, when it's enabled, only the front faces of the model will be colored on. And whether a face is front or back is defined by the normal direction of the face. If you want the painting to be applied to both sides of the model, then you should disable both checkboxes. So that's what I'll do. And finally, we'll go to the external section where we can see the screen grab size field. This field decides the size of the model image that will be created in the external tool and which we'll draw on. I suggest setting the resolution to something similar to the resolution of your painting. So for me, I'll simply set it to 1300 by 512, which are the width and height of my painting. And now is the time to share a new tip that I haven't included in the old video. Before we move on to GIMP, I will select the faces of the model that I want colored and then enable the paint mask. This will ensure that only the selected faces get the painting even if we apply it on other parts. So I'll go to edit mode, set the selection to faces, and quickly select the faces of the body of the XM by pressing L, as well as using the box selection with the left mouse button. And now if I press on this button here, the paint mask will be enabled and only these faces will get colored. All that's left to do is to position the weapon properly. I'll press on the X-axis and try to get the relevant part of the weapon as close as possible. This is the view that we'll see in the external 2D tool. Of course, if you're painting a different part, like the top of the gun for example, then change the view according to your needs. And now we're finally ready to paint, so let's click on Quick Edit. If you set your external tool properly in the settings, then this click will launch the tool. So here's the picture of the view of the model the way we set it in Blender, with the same size we set in the screen grab field. We can already start drawing, but I'll show you how to limit the drawing only to the model. This step is not a must, but it helps visualize how the painting will look on the model. Create a layer group by clicking on this icon below. This will allow us to group our layers together. Drag the weapons layer into the layer group. With the weapons layer chosen, choose the color selection tool and click anywhere on the empty area. Press Ctrl I to invert the selection, and now we have the model selected. Right-click on the layer group and choose Add Layer Mask. From the list that appears in the dialog, make sure to select the Selection option and press Add. And now when you draw on layers inside the group, only the weapon will be affected. So now we're ready to bring our painting into the picture. Literally. I'll drag and drop it inside the layer group. And basically I'm done. In your case, you might need to modify the size and proportions of the painting so that it fits the weapon as you want. But for me, since my painting is quite simple, I can go ahead and remove the group's mask so that the painting wraps itself around the model and cover the curved areas properly. Now we can export the image. Let's bring the export dialog by pressing Ctrl E. Now please pay attention. This step here might decide whether the process works or fails. When you export, do not change neither the name of the exported image nor its location. Every time you click on Quick Edit in Blender, a new image like the one we got in GIMP is created. And Blender identifies the image using its absolute path and name. If you make any changes to the name or location, then the association between the image and Blender breaks, and you won't be able to apply the image. So now simply press Export here and in the next dialog. Back to Blender, click on Apply, and now we have the painting applied on the model as we wanted. Simple as that. This whole process can be done more than once. If you wish to add something else to your painting, then go back to your GIMP session and add that. For me, I'll add this boom text somewhere in the middle of the body. And now that I'm done, I can export again. Now I want the new addition to be applied only on the side of the weapon facing us. So I'll enable the occlude and backface culling checkboxes. I'll click again on Apply and boom! The text was added exactly like I wanted. By the way, the image you apply doesn't have to be only colors. You can also apply other stuff, such as normal maps. For that, let's create another image in Blender, and this time let's choose normal instead of base color. The image resolution is good, so I'll simply press Add. If we go to the Shading tab, we'll see that a new normal image and a normal map node have been created and automatically connected to the shader. Now I'll go back to the same GIMP session to add the normal image. You can click on Quick Edit again if you want, but if your GIMP session is still there, then you don't need to. Clicking on Quick Edit will create a new session with a new image, and it will add on what currently exists. In GIMP, I will drag and drop the normal image of my painting. Since I haven't done any changes to the image, I'll just go ahead and export without checking how it looks on the weapon. Now I'll make sure that the normal image we created earlier is selected. The application of the painting is reflected on whatever image is currently selected, so it's very important to make sure that you have the right one selected. So I'll hit the Apply button one last time, and now we have our normal applied. And from here you can proceed creating the rest of the skin by drawing and adding more texture nodes to your node settings. I will not be talking about how I made the rest of my skin because this isn't the topic of the video. However, I already created a full tutorial on how to create a skin end to end. So make sure you check that out if you still don't know how to make skins. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel as I'll be adding more and more content. And if you're really interested in skin making and you're taking it seriously, then check out my YouTube membership packages where you can get access to my members only videos as well as get access to my Discord server where you'll get my full support and connect with other members of the Viper community. Anyway, that's all for now folks. Stay tuned for my next video. Until then, take care and see you soon.